on the way I vibe when I walk into the room. Wind blows underneath the soles of my brand new pair of shoes.
All right, welcome to the Cold Calling Podcast live, brought to you by Monster Connect, which helps your reps make 10 times, have 10 times more conversations than they're used to. I've got Keith on today. Keith, why don't you give people a little bit of background on yourself, what you do, and why you're overqualified to be making live cold calls with me today?
Amazing. Thanks, Collin. So I run a cold calling agency called Empower Sales. I partner with Phone Ready Leads to kind of run my back end. So I'm having a high connect rate. I've been cold calling for about 6 years. Been really focused on it this past year. I think I just looked at it. I think I've had almost 2,000 conversations in the past year over the phone, which has been really interesting. I sucked. Like I came into the cold calling agency and thought I was like really, really talented. And I was, but then like just started getting my teeth kicked in early. But over the past year of having that many conversations, I've definitely up leveled my ability to call.
What do you think the biggest changes have been for you up in your game on the phone once you get into a conversation?
Yeah, a couple things. Like having that number of conversations like just helps to just have a lot of at bats. It helps to realize like things aren't as scary as I think they are. And honestly, over those 1,700 dials, conversations, I think I remember like 2 or 3 jerks. That's it. Like I'm sure there was a lot more, but like I only remember a couple of them. It's like less than 0.5% of the time I'm gonna have a conversation where there's a jerk that I'm gonna remember.
Yeah.
So that's definitely helped. And then just understanding, like listening back to the calls, realizing like I'm not having as much energy on these calls as I'd like to. Listen to the tone, listen to the how I'm interacting with them. That's definitely helped. Right, energy, just more at bats, and then. This happened probably in July when I really started to take off. I realized like I was calling people like a salesman, right? What's the difference, Keith? I was talking to them like I was trying to get them to do something, trying to get them to take a meeting. And then I realized like if I were to meet Collin, for instance, and I'm trying to sell you whatever I'm trying to say, cold calling. If I met you at like my son's basketball game, like that would be a much different conversation.
Yeah.
Like I want to cut you off. I want to try to like get you to like come into my house after the game so we can like, hang out, whatever. Like it's just just made it more real and more authentic to the way that I would actually interact with people.
I
think
that's something people don't often think about is trying to have it be more like a real conversation than like a pushy salesperson just trying to push you into a meeting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get clicked in here into Monster Connect. And if you haven't checked out the Cold Calling Podcast, it's on every podcast platform, daily content where you can hear both the other sides of some of these conversations and the best moments from these live sessions that we do with people like Keith. So I'm going to go ahead and get clicked in. Who are you going to be calling today, Keith?
I will be calling mostly insurance agencies, insurance brokers to promote my business.
All right. Awesome. I'm going to be calling into sales leaders, trying to get conversations going around Humantic.
I'm very curious about that. Awesome.
Maybe I'll put you in my list.
I see Sean mention it quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not quite a bit, like a couple times.
I segment my lists by personality type, so I can actually, have a slightly different script for different people. We actually have seen some patterns around certain types of people tend to pick up the phone more often than others. So a lot of interesting stuff.
That's fast. Is it using like the disc?
Yeah.
How do you get that? Like from like LinkedIn information?
Yeah. So we use we collect 180 plus different data points. LinkedIn, a lot of it comes from there, and we can put that through natural language processing and then our machine learning to identify the disc personality of the person before you ever meet them.
That's interesting. Wow. That is interesting. Let's get into it. Set up my screen the right way.
So do you cold call every day?
Try to. I have been a lot more focused on it the past couple weeks. Just because I just realized my commitment wasn't always there as far as consistency, especially when you kind of get in the motion of closing business. You'll ride that roller coaster, right, of sales. If you can prospect through the time that you're closing, like those ebbs and
Hey,
flows.
Patricia, this is Collin with Humantic. This is actually my first time giving you a call here, but do you have a moment so I can tell you exactly why I decided to reach out to you today? Yeah, well, reason I'm reaching out to you is really just to introduce my company to you when I'm not calling you out of the blue like today. But have you ever heard of Humantic before by chance? Got it. Well, I definitely want to make sure it's relevant. I'm just curious, your sales team, when they're reaching out to folks for the first time, kind of like I am today, or maybe hopping on a Zoom for the first time, I'm sure they probably have something in place for researching those people, I'd assume. I don't actually. Got it. Okay, so sometimes probably a bit tough to get much information on those people. Yeah. So
Hey, Michael, it's Keith Dawson. How's it going?
yeah.
Hey, I'm doing super
So yeah.
well.
So
We actually had a
to be
conversation
honest,
with
I'm not
Nicole on my
entirely
team
sure if
yesterday.
what
Does
we
that
do would work
ring a
for
bell
you.
at all?
But what we do is we give your sales
Yeah,
team the ability to know the
yeah,
personality of the
that's
person
awesome.
before
Yeah,
you
so
ever
I'm
meet
I'm
them,
actually the founder
and
of
that could
the
be
company Empower
how to build
Sales,
a
and
winning connection with
interestingly
them,
enough, Michael, I
do's
actually
and don'ts
sold
on a sales
voluntary
meeting, what type
worksite
of
benefits with
communication style
Illinois
and
Mutual for
language
about
would be
4 years
best used
while
in
I
an
was at
email.
an agency.
It's based
Yeah,
off of
yeah,
their
yeah.
disc and
Is that
ocean personality, and we take that, yeah, through their
no? It was
digital
out of
footprint. So it could
Wisconsin.
be from
I
any
don't know if you're
self-authored
familiar with
content. It
who
could
was
be
there.
through social
Lisa
profiles,
Crawley was
such like that.
a helper
Again,
for a little while.
with
Gosh,
the ICP that you have, I'm
Sarah
not
French.
entirely sure that it
I
would
forget
work.
exactly.
But
So
when
yeah.
it
Are
does
you
work,
you're
we
in
get
the
it, 80,
worksite space
90%
yourself?
right. And, the type of results that sales leaders are able to see is really two
Gotcha. Okay.
things. One, increase response rate on outbound prospecting by up to 256%. And
Gotcha.
then
Yeah. Well,
for
Mike,
AEs, we see a conversion of 6.2%. So those are kind of two areas where we can help. But I'd love to spend a little bit of time with you and maybe run some tests and see, if it would work based
okay.
on who you're
Got it.
targeting.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, honestly, okay. Okay. Got it. Yeah. So oh, that's totally fine. And the purpose of this call is,
Yeah.
I caught you out of the blue here again, just to find some time, maybe early next week, where I can share more formally about the work we're doing with insurance agents, specifically around getting them more conversations on
Yeah.
the phone, so they can, set more meetings, book, close more deals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only way we'll know is if we try. And again, I don't want to like take up too much of your time because I know I'm calling you a bit out of the blue here. But if we could spend like 15, 20 minutes together, like in the next week or two, then yeah. So I would show you, what exactly I would show you exactly what Humantic does. We could, pick maybe 3, 5, prospects, see if it does work, and if the resolution is there from those people, then it might be worth having a more meaningful chat.
Yep.
Yeah, you can. I mean, email address or LinkedIn URL or anything like that. Those are the kind of we
Gotcha.
resolve from either LinkedIn URL, Twitter URL, or their email address.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. Well, it's both, right? So it would help. Like I have, I'm actually work with an employee benefits broker that runs like an agency management system that we're reaching out to brokers for, and there's other wholesalers that are reaching out to brokers. So the system works, however you want to use it. But just coming from that, so that it would work for your internal team too. But the idea of passing it through to your brokers through GAs I think it's a brilliant idea. When you reward the people who are doing the work, and yep. Okay. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yep. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yep. Gotcha. Yeah. 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 That's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's a big leap. Yeah. Yeah. So you're yeah. Yeah. So that's perfect for them. Yeah. Yeah. It is. Do you have anything like that on the
Hey,
voluntary
Michael,
side?
this is Colin with Humantic. This is actually my first time giving you a call here, but do you have like a moment so I can tell you exactly why I decided to reach out to you today?
Sh- Yeah. Yeah.
This
That's
is
just
Colin with Humantic, so it's a cold call. It's the first time giving you a call here. Do you have a moment so I can?
mhm.
Hey, no problem. I'll try you back at a better time.
Okay. Which is a nightmare to do.
How's it going over there?
That's amazing. I mean, I've had I- I've real like what an ROI. That's amazing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it sounds like it would be. So, yeah. Yep. Mhm. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, companies like to have people participate in their programs, right? Um, so that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, I've seen different things around the voluntary space where they've used that text messaging service and they've gotten around it by having the employer kind of email all the employees and say, hey, like they're gonna like expect a text message, so you can get around some of that. But yeah, there's a lot of legality in that space. Gotcha. Then you can. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Well, hey, Michael, want to talk more about utilizing the system for your cold callers, because I personally set my first year at Advantage Group is where I was at. I opened 40 groups, which was a record by 17, strictly by using the phone. I didn't have a service like this to do it. I was just smiling and dialing and just hoping someone would pick up. So I would love to see kind of conceptually what it would look like to offer that to some of your groups, and then maybe run a test pilot. Would you be open maybe Tuesday, Wednesday morning next week for a more in-depth call? I can show you a little bit more about the process there. Oh yeah, yep, yeah, I heard. Oh, I didn't know that part, but yeah, I know he moved. Cool. Yeah, yeah. My request, yeah. I think 18 to just last year. Yeah, so I think I started right at the end. Yeah, I don't know who from Illinois Mutual has come before, but yeah, I was one of the top producers there for those years that I was actively pursuing it. Then I switched to this cold calling uh, agency to build that. Gotcha, 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 gotcha. Yeah, yep, got it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'd love to work with you guys, just from my history, and I placed a lot of VSTD with you guys, so yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, so that second, yeah, it's a great product. That second full week in May. Yeah, so I'll text you a little bit. I'll shoot you I'll send you a phone meeting for like Wednesday morning on the 10th of May, just as a reminder, just a placeholder, and we can adjust it as we go. And then MA Smith. Perfect. Yeah. So I'll shoot that over for the 10th, and then I'll follow up a couple of text messages between now and then. But yeah, I'm really interested in having this conversation. And yeah, if it's got to be kicked out to 2024, I totally get it. I know how those things work. Awesome, Michael. Have a good couple weeks on the road and in that conference in Rhode Island. We'll chat with you in May. Oh, really? Nasty. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah, appreciate you, Michael. We'll chat with you soon. Bye. So Dylan getting all impatient on me.
The the thing that I loved about that was is exactly what you said before we started dialing, right? Is like,
Yeah,
I mean, you obviously call into an industry that you know very well, which I
yeah,
think has a lot of advantages. Um, but people who are cold calling can do that? Like, I think obviously it sounds just from the sound of that call, you worked in that industry before, right?
Yeah, I actually like sold that exact product like that he was
Yeah.
selling. So it works perfectly. And he was talking about, yeah, I can get into the call. We'll finish your thought.
Yeah, but even if you're calling into an industry that you didn't, have the ability that you didn't work at in the past, like there's still resources and ways to understand the people that you're calling at that, maybe somewhat close to that level, like to understand that, what's a day in the life of them? How do they get their job done? What are the things that they care about? Even using some of their lingo, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some things that you were saying there. It's like, we don't even know what the heck you're talking about, but like he
Yeah.
clearly does, and you do, and it shows that their business, right? So, and it was a perfect example of showing, hey, Al, this is Collin with Humantic. This is actually my first time giving you a call here, but do you have a moment, and I can tell you exactly why I decided to pick up the phone and cold call you today? I'm with Humantic. Have you ever heard of us before? Yeah, no problem. I can try you back at a better time. So your call there was a perfect example of you just having a conversation, right? Like you'd swear you were calling a friend there.
Yeah. It was amazing. I mean, he was
Well,
talking about ways that he was already thinking about utilizing us on like a national level. It's like
yeah,
this is the first time we've actually spoken.
incredible.
It was really cool. And he knew of the company I worked at before. And
Yeah, Dylan says, "Were you talking to the same person the whole time?" It's about the quality of the calls, right? Not
it
the
is,
quantity, right?
yeah.
I mean,
That's the shift that happened in July for me as well. Instead of focusing on conversations, focus on the conversation you're having right now. I'm not trying to hit this like metric that for me is made up. I just whatever metric I want to focus on.
well, a lot of sales teams, success is measured based on activity, and it's like,
Yeah.
activity doesn't. Activity does, lead to results, but activity alone isn't going to put commission in your pocket.
No, not at all. Not at all. And for you, and it's like a focus on the right metrics. Like for us, it's like conversations. Like I've gotten past a number of dials. It doesn't matter. Like it's a vanity metric, in my opinion. It's just for looks.
Yeah. So, you booked that guy all the way out in May. Would you normally book something that far out, or
Now we're calling live. That's the only reason I did that. That's the only reason.
To get a vanity metric on the board?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like if you listen to the Sandler boys, they do that all the time. Like Jake Alba has booked meetings out, 2-3 months in advance. But like we set up, like text me in 2 weeks. He's what he said, and then after that, text me in the first week in May, and then let's book some time then, right?
Yeah.
There's a follow-up sequence in there. But yes, that was all for vanity, Collin.
I figured as much.
So just to make my my LinkedIn post after this look good.
Yeah. Trying to make me look bad. Yeah. First call. You're like 1 for 1. First call, meeting booked.
Well,
it's 1-0.
Yeah. The golden ratio. No, I knew that would happen. So that's why I called him first. Stacking the deck.
Yeah. Sandbagging.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah. You say, you had that one queued up. You saved it for today's session.
Yeah, I did. I really did. No, we spoke with him a couple days ago. I sent him an email this morning. So not a true cold call, my friends.
Hey, the magic happens in the follow-up.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody loves to think like, oh, I'm going to crush this block and book a bunch of meetings on first call. And it happens. It happens if you're consistently doing it. But, especially when you're dealing with specific people, they're just never going to commit to a meeting on the call. They're going to want you to follow up, call again, send some information, blah, blah, blah. All of the stuff that, some of the phone gurus will tell you shouldn't do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got to be following up. Yeah, I'm working through a phone tree. Do you have to work through a phone tree on Monster Connect?
I do not. So that's one of the beauties of Monster Connect is I don't deal with phone trees, gatekeepers, voicemails, or all of the other, pleasantries of cold calling.
I was talking to my mom, Dylan, is who I was talking to. I've done cold calling shows like that before, and it's like, oh, dude, he's just talking to his mom, isn't he? Give him a hard time.
The hard truth is he wasn't even talking to anybody. The guy hung up on the first 5 seconds.
Yeah, just made it up.
Kept it going. We need to see the recording on that one.
Oh, so funny. So funny.
All right. Let's see here. So far on my end, I've had 106 dials, 3 conversations, no meetings yet.
Dude, that's crazy.
One was close, man. One was really
I didn't even hear it.
Well, I muted because you were in a 25-minute conversation. So I had to mute myself.
Was I? Yeah. How did it go?
It was close, man. But she had like a really tough, unique ICP and just wasn't really willing to take a look. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which says everybody who sells to the government. Hey, Claude, this is Collin with Humantic. This is actually my first time giving you a call here. But do you have a moment and I can tell you? Hey, no problem. Got my first hang up of the day.
Let's go. Just got it out of the way.
Yeah. Look, this comes up on every one of these sessions, and I'm always curious to get thoughts from our guests on this one, right? Because I'm sure you run into this. If you cold call, you run into this problem. You get somebody on the phone and they tell you they're in a meeting. Now, I don't know about you, Keith, but never have I ever picked up a phone call, cold call specifically, like number that I don't recognize. Let's say, even if you're using local caller ID, okay, still it's not a contact in your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never have I ever been in a real meeting, a Zoom meeting, or anything that has my attention and said, hold on, let me pick this up real quick.
Yeah.
I just don't get that. Who are these people?
Sander. I don't know. I think everyone assumes it's a brush off, which it probably is.
Yeah. So do you just roll with that? How do you handle that? Do you politely just let them go and call back? Which is typically what I do. I've heard some people, that we've had on here, be a little bit more bold, like, hey, chances are since you picked up this call, I'm guessing that meeting is maybe a bit boring or not that important. And then you kind of chuckle. But I'm curious your thoughts when people give you the good old, hey, Mark, this is Collin with Humantic. How you been? Good. You and I talked a while back. Glad I got you back on the phone here, but really just calling to introduce Humantic when I'm not calling you out of the blue like today. But have you ever heard of Humantic before by chance? Okay. Yeah. Happy to do that. Is there anything you'd love to see in there just to make it relevant? Okay. All right. Jeez, that went extremely not well.
That happens with that opener, man. Especially when you're calling like presidents and CEOs. Like,
yeah, I mean he's a VP of global sales, but First time I talked to him, he was much more friendly. But then he was like, yeah, hey, I'm interested. Call me back. So I was trying to recapture that moment there. But just sometimes you call people and you can just hear it in their tone. Like it's just not a good time. Like you just don't know what happened,
Yeah.
But
So
you
you're
could
saying
just
the
tell.
first time you called, he was interested?
Yeah. There was like a little bit of interest, and he's like, I've been called him back a few times. He hasn't picked up. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 follow-ups, calls since the first time we talked. And first time was just like, hey, I'm interested, like just super busy. Call me back at a better time. And then called like 4 times, didn't pick up. Today was the 5th time he answered. And you could just hear it in the tone where it's just like, hey man, it's just really not a good time. Like,
Well, that's what he's, yeah. Oh, that's not too bad of a hang up or a disconnect.
But then he gave me the old, send me an email. And then I,
Yeah.
was like, hey, love to send you an email. Is there anything specific you'd love to see in there? He's like, I don't know, man. You're reaching out to me. Send me whatever you want.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you can use that
winning on this one today.
That previous conversation as some leverage or some information to make it more relevant for him. But going back to like I'm in a meeting, the first time was and not a big deal. I'll reach back to you. Then if they do it a second time, then I'll call them back, right? I'll call them back. And then the second time, if they do the same thing, I'm like, all right, just to make sure it's relevant. Does your team X, Y, or Z? Does your team use a phone to prospect?
Yeah.
Is your team, is your company looking to use solar right now? Something like that. But yeah, I like to take up objections as truth and not assume that they're lying to me. Makes for a better experience for everyone.
Yeah. You're a better person than me.
Don't say that.
I think they're all full of it.
Well, I'm in the Midwest. I had the most
to be expected.
I had the most Midwest response the other day when I hit a girl with my opener. She's like, well, if you go quick, I won't hang up on you. It's like, oh my gosh.
You're like, that's what I was hoping for.
So when you just hang up, like, man, I've been yelled at some nasty things.
Yeah, you can't take that stuff personal. I mean, I'd say the worst thing, and I don't usually go negative, but the worst thing about cold calling is you can do everything right and it can still go terribly wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
but the good news is, as long as you understand that, it can totally shift your entire mindset about cold calling.
Yeah, exactly.
You getting any connects over there? What's going on, man?
No, I have 10 dials, 1 connect. We'll switch to a fresher list.
You got the silver bullet list.
Silver bullet list.
The Glengarry leads.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure you've noticed this. Like the more times you call the same list, the lower and lower your connect rate gets.
Yeah, because there's just people on there that maybe don't pick up or
that haven't picked up or haven't or have already picked up, right? Like once you kind of get through that list 3, 4 or 5 times, like your connect rate's going to drop pretty substantially.
Right.
A lot of folks think that the number of touches and outreach and dial attempts, it's like this linear progression. Like the more dials you make, the higher the chance that person's going to answer. It's actually a bell curve. Once you get to about 5 dials, it starts to taper off and your chance of a response and pickup drops pretty substantially.
Yeah, I actually had somebody prospect me the other day in the LinkedIn DMs, which is always usually not good. And it's like, hey, basically asking for a response and like threatening, like, hey, saving you the hassle of the next 21 steps in my sequence. Why don't you, I don't even remember the message, to be honest, but that was the gist of it. Is like, hey, why don't you reply now and save the hassle of receiving the other 21 steps in my sequence. Like, yeah. Then threaten your prospects with a good time.
Basically, they're threatening you with you. They're threatening you. Hey, looking for John, please. Sure. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you can just let them know Keith Dawson was calling over at Empower Sales. And I can just circle back in a couple days. Nothing urgent. Yeah, you got it. I appreciate you. Bye. She asked if I want to leave a message. I thought she'd send me the voicemail, so I just hang up, but that's not what happened. She's like, you just leave it with me. I was like, sure.
Ah,
It's like to come in like a ninja, right? Like you don't know me at all.
yeah. I always like that's also, when you are dealing with gatekeepers, phone trees, and voicemails, it's actually a pretty good tactic. You're like,
Yeah, I'm looking for Martha, please. Oh, that's fine. I can just give her a buzz later. Not a big deal. All right. Thank you. You're saying?
Yeah, it's actually not a bad strategy. Like, hey, can I, looking for Keith. Oh, he's not available. Great. I'll take his voicemail. And then some people will just transfer you. And then there's a 50-50 chance Keith picks up.
Oh yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. I'd say 50-50 is a lot lower, but yeah.
I mean, if he's a Midwester.
It's a Midwest. Yeah.
Or a phone picker upper.
Here's the truth. I pick up Mark's spam calls. Like that's how crazy I am, Colin.
Yeah, but for you, it's
hey, I'm looking for Tony. Is he floating around today? Okay, I can give him a buzz later. All right, take care. Senior benefits consultant.
It's rare we have people in here that are dealing with gatekeepers. So
actually, I use Monster Connect.
I'd love to.
Hey, I'm looking for a JC. Hey, Mr. Cole, this is Keith Dawson. You weren't expecting this call. Do you have about a half minute? I can share I gave you a buzz. Yeah, I appreciate JC. So I'm actually the founder of a company called Empower Sales, and I'm a former reformed employee benefits broker, and I use the phone a lot to set meetings with prospective clients. I was curious if you guys are still using the phone to find new business, or if there's a different way you're locating potential opportunities. Sure. Mm. Markets like locations or like industries? So I'm calling nationally. So I'm working with some brokers in Nashville, some in Nebraska, Minnesota. I did have one I was calling for in San Antonio. She was selling self-funding. Yeah. Would you ever kind of reconsider looking into that? Like I spent 6 years in employee benefits, and honestly, all my success came from cold calling because I didn't have like a good national market by any means. It kind of depends on the difficulty to set meetings. I wouldn't know that unless we kind of ran a like a small test on the market you're looking to get into. Yeah. Really? Is that mhm. That's where I called mostly in my employee benefits time. Yeah, we'll tell you what, Mr. Cole, if it makes sense, Are you going to be around like next Tuesday afternoon? I can give you a call. I can kind of show you more in depth, like our process of calling. And if it makes sense, we can talk about what a potential kind of test of this would look like. Yeah, Tuesday. Are you more of a morning or afternoon kind of guy? (10:30) Central Time will work for me. Yeah. Would you prefer a Zoom or phone call? Or does it not matter? Would you prefer like a video conference or a phone call like this? Okay. Will do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, happy to have that conversation. I actually don't have an email for you. What's the best email? inc.com. jc.cole at AGIAINC. AGIA. Oh, it depends. If you're doing an appointments base, it could be $400 to $800 a meeting, something like that. But we'll have to look. Or there's a lot of different programs. Well, I'll shoot this over to you in the next half hour or so, and then once that hits your inbox, can you just hit accept so I know it didn't get to your junk? And perfect. And then if anything comes up between now and Tuesday, feel free to just respond to me if you need to reschedule. Perfect, JC. We'll chat with you on Tuesday then. All right. Yeah, appreciate you. Bye-bye. It's hard not to just smirk a bunch, Collin.
Boom. There you go, man. Number two.
Let's go.
Something I want to bring up that I like. Obviously, some he asked was it a he or she? I'm not sure, but they asked price, right? And you address that. Some people avoid that or use that as like leverage to get the meeting. And I like how you gave a range, right? Like, it depends. We have different programs between 4 to 800. And I think that's the perfect way to handle that. Cause I think a lot of, say SDR, BDRs that are out there on the phones, come across, things like that and don't necessarily know, should I answer it? Should I not answer it? Should I be vague? Just curious to get your thoughts on how people should handle price questions on a cold call.
Yeah. So I handled it two different ways, right? If you notice, he asked it twice. I said, it kind of depends on kind of the difficulty of the, right? It depends. Without running a test, I don't know. And he's like, okay, that's cool. And then we booked the meeting. He's like, well, what's like the price? It's like, all right, I'm not going to push him off again. Like let's just be upfront, 400 to 800. It's going to land somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that's helpful, but yeah, I think it was obviously like important to him.
Yeah. And for somebody on a cold call to ask that twice, maybe they have some price sensitivity.
Exactly.
But there's, and then if you don't answer it, you run the risk of a no-show or him just going, what, if you can at least give me a ballpark, like it's not worth us meeting, right? Yeah. Which can happen.
Yeah. What if I said 4 to 8 and he's like, we're looking for $100. Like, one, impossible.
Hey, Rick, this is Collin with Humantic. This is actually my first time giving you a call here, but do you have a moment so I can tell you exactly why I decided to cold call you today? Yeah. So reason I'm reaching out, Rick, is really just to introduce my company to you when I'm not calling you out of the blue like today. But have you ever heard of Humantic before by chance? Yeah. Humantic AI. Got it. Okay. Well, I'm curious. I would assume your sales team, when they're prospecting into folks and having a conversation for the first time, kind of like I am today, or maybe hopping on a Zoom for the first time, they probably have something in place for researching those people, maybe like a Zoom info or sales navigator on LinkedIn, something like that. Perfect. Now, this next question isn't meant to be like a gotcha or trick question or anything like that, but do they have anything in place for understanding the personality of those people, how to build a winning connection, do's and don'ts, communication styles and preferences, any of that sort of stuff? Got it. Yeah, but I think you'd probably agree. Kind of difficult to pick up that sort of stuff from maybe reading a LinkedIn profile or such. Yeah. Yeah. So, by chance, are you familiar with DISC at all? Okay, so what we do is we give your sales team the ability to know the personality of their prospects before they ever even meet them. That way, they can understand the communication style, preferences, what they should or shouldn't do on a meeting, how to build a winning connection, all the way down to negotiating and closing and setting expectations. Sales leaders that are using Humantic see anywhere from a 256% increase on their prospecting efforts, and even a 6.2% increase on revenue for their AE teams. Would it be a terrible idea for you and I to maybe grab a time next week, Rick, and show you how other sales leaders are leveraging our personality AI assistant? Yeah. Is there a day that would work better for you? Yeah. Got some, what about Tuesday the 4th? And you're East Coast, right? Okay. So, it'd be, yeah. You want to do 12 your time?
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. What's the best email for you, Rick? Okay, perfect. That's what I have. All right, I'm gonna send that over for 12 o'clock your time on the 4th. I'll go ahead and send you an email in between now and then with just a bit more information, so we can have a pretty meaningful call there on the 4th. All right, thanks, Rick. Take care. Boom.
Let's go, Collin. Nicely done. Nicely done.
He loved that. He loved that close for the meeting. Would it be a terrible idea?
Yeah.
He kind of messed with me. He's like, "Yeah, it would be a terrible idea," and then he started chuckling. And then I figured he was joking. He was pulling my chain a bit, so I just went for
A time.
the
Yeah.
date there.
That's
And
awesome.
he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Any day but Monday's good."
Let's go. You're calling VPs of sales?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Chris Voss has made his rounds and around the VP of sales world. So I'm sure he noticed that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Nicely done. That's 3. Look at us on a roll. And Dylan, that last one was a complete cold call. For the record.
This one here, yeah, I've never
Yeah.
spoken to him before.
Awesome.
I mean, I've tried to call. We've tried to call 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Voicemail, 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 and then this is the first time he picked up.
Nice. Nice.
Um,
So you have a pretty big TAM then for Humantic.
yeah, yeah.
Just like anyone in sales.
Yeah, anybody that sells like B2B sales, that's has a good enough deal size where it makes sense,
Yeah.
not transactional, like very transactional, not as ideal. Complex
Gotcha.
sell,
Gotcha.
good deal size, yeah. It's moving out. Got like 5 minutes left, man. You think you can get one more in?
give her a go.
Yeah. Call the friends list. You got some tricks up your sleeve.
Yeah, I thought I have more connects on that. I think I'm at 15, 2 and 2. Michael McGarry, owner, essential. Okay. Michael. IBR. Hey, Lisa. Keith Dawson, how's it going? Hey, you actually weren't expecting this call. I'm actually the founder of a company called Empower Sales, and honestly, I was just looking for time to more formally introduce ourselves and our company when not catching out of the blue on a Wednesday morning. Curious if you might have time maybe later next week. Oh yeah. My apologies, Lisa. I'm curious if over at Hoffman and Brown, if you guys use the phone at all to reach out to potential clients, or if you're using a different way to. No, not at all. No one. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no worries. The reason I asked, I was in employee benefits for 6 years, and know how hard it is to get those first meetings. But if you're not using the phone, then sounds like you have another way that you're. Gotcha. Cool. All right, Lisa. I appreciate that. Bye. They don't use the phone.
But wouldn't you say, if they don't use the phone, is it like a non-starter for you, or you wouldn't try to convince them the phone's a good channel?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I just haven't seen a lot of success from people like either selling phone leads or like calling myself to look at that channel.
If these folks aren't using the phone, what are they typically doing? Not a
like,
business?
they're referrals, right? That's their big one.
I don't know how you can.
I don't know
Referrals
how
are
they do
great, but like you can't.
Well, in the industry that they're in, like in insurance, the way that they work is like once you kind of get 20, 30 businesses, they're paying you like commission every month. You get renewal commission. So then you're just kind of like servicing your 30 groups and seeing, and just using like a referral network, asking those people if they can introduce you to folks.
Yeah.
So like in the insurance world, it's a tricky place because the first few years are when you need to be cold calling the most, but you don't have any money to like buy resources. Then when you're like more senior, you have a book of business, you don't need a cold call, you have the resources to do it. You're not going to. It's like an interesting balance.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at the end of our session, man. Finished up with Keith 2 meetings. I was able to book 1. In my time here on Monster Connect, I was at 173 dials, 6 conversations, 1 meeting. Just under an hour of dial time here. Keith, thanks so much for coming on, man. Appreciate it. For those of you that joined us today, if you have not checked out the Cold Calling Podcast, now's a good time to do that. Go over to whatever podcast platform you listen to podcasts, and you can get daily content of the best moments from these sessions and some of the other side of these conversations. Keith, any final thoughts, and where's the best place for people to connect with you and get into your world?
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn. That's really the only place that I exist outside of my real life. And parting thoughts is always be calling.
Love it.
Stay consistent.
We'll see you again, everybody, next week. Thanks, Keith.
Appreciate you.